Have you ever felt an unsettling quiet settle over your home? Like a storm brewing on a clear day? That was my reality, one Thursday evening, as the normal sounds of family life faded into a hush. Now, you might be thinking, isn't a peaceful household a blessing? And usually, it is, but sometimes, silence means something's wrong. Let me tell you a story about my son, Ethan. At 16, he was the epitome of responsibility and warmth, the kid who'd help the neighbors, hug his mom before school, and still manage to ace most of his classes. But that week, I'd noticed a shift. He was quieter, distant, locked away behind closed doors. You know the saying, still waters run deep? For Ethan, that depth hid a world of unspoken struggles. Here's something technical. Psychologists call these outward signs, behavioral cues, subtle changes in routine or affect that can indicate emotional distress. It's a bit like an early warning system, except the alarms are easy to miss if you're not paying attention. Picture this. You ask, "Are you okay?" And the answer is, "I'm just tired." It's the script so many teens recite, hoping adults will accept it at face value. But as parents, or simply as people who care, it's on us to tune in beyond the words. I kept wondering, should I press or give him space? That evening, as the sun disappeared and the world quieted, I realized sometimes silence is a cry for help. Recognizing that is the first step, because you can't help what you can't see. Let's talk about what happened next, the moment Ethan finally asked, "Can we talk? Just us?" If you've ever been on the receiving end of that question, you know it's both terrifying and hopeful all at once. Now, you might be thinking, what if I say the wrong thing? But here's the conflict. Withholding concern can close doors, but pushing too hard can make your child retreat. The solution lies in creating a safe space, what therapists call a judgment-free zone. Imagine it as emotional armor. When kids sense it, they're more likely to open up. I promised Ethan I wouldn't get mad. That's not just reassurance, it's a strategic move. In counseling, we use the term unconditional positive regard, accepting someone's feelings without judgment. It's a bit like being the net under a tightrope walker. They can take the step, knowing you'll catch them if they fall. As we sat in his room, door closed to the outside world, I let him set the pace. No interruptions, no lectures, just presence. Sometimes, the hardest thing is to listen, not to fix. Here's the resolution. When Ethan finally began to speak, the floodgates opened. Creating that safe space didn't just allow him to share it, showed him he was worthy of understanding, no matter what he had to say. Have you ever wondered how much of our children's stress comes from wanting to live up to our hopes? When Ethan spoke, he revealed not just the pain of schoolyard teasing, but the crushing pressure to meet imagined expectations. Sometimes, he admitted, I feel like I'm failing you even when I try my best. This is what psychologists call internalized expectations. It's when external standards, grades, behavior, success become part of a young person's self-image. Think of it like a backpack filled with invisible bricks. Every expectation adds another weight. Now, you may ask, isn't it good to push our kids? Sure, motivation is healthy, but when encouragement turns to pressure, it can erode self-worth. Social comparison, another technical term, kicks in. Comparing oneself to peers and always falling short. Let me tell you, I saw the pain in Ethan's eyes, the fear of not measuring up. I realized that what he needed most wasn't my approval, but my acceptance. My job wasn't to sculpt him into someone else's idea of perfect, but to remind him that he was already enough. Resolution came in a simple truth. Love isn't about achievement, it's about belonging. The weight of expectations lightens when we assure our kids they don't have to earn our love. Let's face it, vulnerability is scary, whether you're 16 or 60. But that night, as Ethan poured out his heart, something remarkable happened. He allowed himself to cry, to share weaknesses he'd hidden for weeks. In that moment, walls crumbled, and connection began. You might be wondering, isn't it a parent's job to be strong? But here's the flip side. When we show our own scars, our mistakes, our fears, our doubts we teach our kids, it's okay to be human too. In therapy, we call this reciprocal disclosure. It's like a two-way bridge. The more you share, the safer it feels to cross. I told Ethan stories from my own teenage years, the failures, the embarrassments, the nights I felt alone. Instead of lecturing, I was relating. The room, once heavy with anxiety, became a place of mutual understanding. Emotional regulation, another technical term, is the art of managing intense feelings. That night, it happened naturally, through tears, hugs, and honest words. It wasn't just Ethan who healed a little. I did too. So ask yourself, when was the last time you were truly vulnerable with someone you love? Sometimes, sharing your struggles is the greatest gift you can give. As midnight drew closer, something subtle but profound changed between Ethan and me. The conversation that began in fear and secrecy ended in trust and closeness. We moved from "I have to hide" to "I am safe here." Now, you might be thinking, is one conversation really enough to fix things? Here's the setup. Emotional wounds don't heal overnight, but the act of sharing pain and receiving acceptance sets the stage for real recovery. In psychology, we talk about secure attachment, that sense of being reliably loved even when you're vulnerable. The conflict, of course, is that trust is fragile. One harsh word or dismissed feeling can send someone back into their shell. That's why consistency matters. Following up, checking in, and showing again and again that love isn't conditional. Resolution arrived in a whisper. "Thanks, Mom, for listening." It wasn't just gratitude for a conversation. It was relief, hope, and the promise of openness to come. So, I'll ask you, what bridges are you building in your relationships? Because sometimes, the deepest connections are forged in the quiet aftermath of the hardest conversations.